Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the language of everyday life.
We are, specifically, your daily routine.
Exactly. Our mission here is to give you these kinds of strategic shortcuts to sound confident, professional, and genuinely native when you're talking about habits, your schedule, your workday.
And this isn't just, like, a vocabulary list. We've synthesized a lot of sources on core grammar, adverbs, sequencing, and that really high-impact language. I'm talking phrasal verbs, idioms.
Good stuff.
The good stuff. The goal for you is to get fluency, but with polish. We want to move beyond just, I wake up and I go to work.
Right, to something much more sophisticated. So let's start with the foundation because, well, if the structure isn't solid, nothing else really matters. And that foundation is the present simple tense.
It is the absolute workhorse for talking about routine. I mean, we all know the basic uses, right? Repeated actions, scheduled events.
Things that are always true.
Exactly. But for a really well-informed listener, the core insight here isn't the definition. It's the high-stakes failure point.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this. The third person singular.
Bingo, yes. In a professional, fast-paced conversation, the single most common grammatical mistake we catch is leaving off that essential S.
For he, she, or it.
For he, she, or it, yeah. When you say she sleep early, it momentarily disrupts the listener's confidence in your professional flow.
It just sounds a little off.
It sounds a little off. The rule is simple. If it's affirmative and it's he, she, or it, you have to add the S. He works from home. She checks her email first thing.
That's the difference right there. It's sounding functional versus sounding polished.
It is. And just to quickly tidy up the mechanics here, when we make it negative or ask a question, we bring in the auxiliary verbs do and does.
Okay.
And the crucial thing to remember is that once do or does is in the sentence, the main verb goes back to its base form. So, does she drive? Not drives. Or he doesn't start work until 10.
And what about that one wildcard verb, to be? That one sort of operates on its own set of rules, doesn't it?
Oh, it's the constant outlier. Total outlier. It uses its own unique conjugations, am, is, are. And unlike every other verb, to make it negative, you just add not right after it.
So no do or does.
No do or does. You get I am not ready, or, more commonly, she isn't here yet.
Okay, so we've got the framework, the present simple, but, I mean, describing your day isn't just about what you do, it's about how often you do it. So let's integrate adverbs of frequency to add some of that detail.
This is where we add the nuance, you know? These adverbs, they range from 100% down to 0. So you think of always at 100%.
Always.
Then you move down to usually maybe 90%, then normally or generally around 80. They show that consistency.
And I find as we drop toward the middle, the placement rules can get a bit more flexible, which is confusing if you're really trying to sound natural.
That's the key challenge, yeah. For most of these adverbs, the general position is right before the main verb. So I often have lunch at my desk.
Right.
But, and this is the big exception, if you are using the verb to be, the adverb comes after it. So she is rarely late to work.
Okay, so what about those really flexible ones I'm thinking of sometimes? That one feels like it can go anywhere.
Ah, yes, the flexible too. Sometimes and occasionally. These are your best friends because they can appear at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the sentence.
Which gives you variety?
It gives you natural stylistic variety. You can say, sometimes I work out after dinner, or I work out after dinner sometimes. Both are perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so we had the structure and the detail. But the structure is useless without the bricks. Let's get into the actual vocabulary that fills in the story of your day.
Yeah, let's talk about flow. When you narrate your day, you absolutely need what we call temporal words and phrases.
The signposts.
The signposts, exactly. They stop your story from becoming just a random list of things. So
Okay.
words like first, second, next, after, before, during, finally, eventually.
As soon as, I use that one a lot.
As soon as, shortly thereafter, they create a sequence.
Let's build a quick narrative right now.
Is that right?
Just show how those words actually sequence a morning routine.
Okay, I can start. I usually wake up around 6:30, but I always press the snooze button twice.
A classic.
A classic. Then as soon as I get up, I take a shower and get dressed. Next, I make my bed. That's a habit I've had to force myself into. And then I'll check my emails before I leave.
See, that immediately sounds so much more organized than just listing actions.
Yeah.
Speaking of organization, the sources categorize people based on their routine energy, which is a great little concept to drop into a conversation.
It is. It's conversational shorthand. If you're productive early, you're a morning person, an early bird, or an early riser.
And if you're not,
If you're most productive when the house is quiet at night, you're a night owl. It just instantly explains your internal clock to someone.
So for that night owl, the evening routine is really crucial. What are the high-frequency chores and winding down actions we need to master?
Okay, so once the workday is done, the focus shifts. You might have to buy groceries, clean up the house, maybe take out the trash.
The glamorous life.
The glamorous life. Then comes dinner, so you either make dinner or maybe order dinner. And then the winding down starts. You put on pajamas, you set the alarm clock, very important, and then maybe watch Netflix or read a book before bed.
And then finally you lock the doors and fall asleep.
Hopefully.
And we can't forget those little interstitial actions, the filler vocabulary that happens around the main events.
Absolutely. Like on the weekend, you might have a nap, or maybe you decide to sleep in, which means you stay in bed later than usual.
The opposite of that would be staying up late.
Right, for the night owls.
Mhm.
And during your lunch break, you often have to run errands. You know, those small necessary jobs like going to the post office or picking up dry cleaning.
Okay, now we are moving into what I think is the really high-impact territory. This is where you shift from, functional English to really fluent English.
Phrasal verbs and idioms.
Yes, the ultimate verbal shorthand.
They carry so much meaning in casual English. If you can use these confidently, you immediately sound more natural. We've pulled out 7 essential ones for everyday situations.
Let's break them down by function. How about we start with health and investigation?
Perfect. Number 1, come down with. This means you're starting to suffer from a mild illness. So you might say, ugh, I think I'm coming down with a cold.
And you could even combo that with an idiom and say, I'm coming down with a cold, so I'll be hitting the sack early tonight.
Already integrating, I love it. And the second one is related to that. It's check up on. This means to investigate or see if someone is well, but in a really informal way.
Like a friend or family member.
Exactly. My mom checks up on me every Tuesday to make sure I'm eating properly.
Right. Then we have arrival and visiting.
Okay, so third is show up. This means to arrive in a place, often with the idea that someone was expecting you. We waited for hours, but he never showed up.
There's a slight negative connotation there sometimes.
There can be. And fourth is kamego over, which is just the casual, informal way to say you're visiting someone at their house. We're going over to the neighbor's house for a barbecue.
No, the next one, and this one's fantastic. It could
Yeah.
mean 2 very distinct things, right?
It is so versatile. It can mean arriving somewhere after a series of unplanned events like traveling around Italy and ending up in some tiny seaside village.
The dream.
The dream. But more often in routine conversation, it means experiencing an unexpected result. For example, I spent all morning trying to fix my computer and I ended up just throwing the whole thing away.
I have been there. It implies frustration or an outcome that wasn't your primary goal.
It does. And that frustration leads perfectly into our 6th phrasal verb,
Which is,
put up with. It means to tolerate or accept a bad situation or behavior. It's almost always used in the negative, like, I can't put up with this kind of noise while I'm trying to work.
it implies you're at your limit.
Exactly. And finally, number 7, the problem-solving verb.
Figure out.
To understand, solve, or find a way to do something. I finally figured out how to use the new project management software.
Okay, now here is where we get into an essential grammatical point for high-level speakers. Out of those 7 phrasal verbs, 6 are inseparable, but 1 is separable. Why is that distinction so crucial?
It determines where you place the object pronoun, like it or them. So 6 of them are inseparable. You cannot split the verb and the preposition. You can say, I can't put up with the nonsense, but you can't say, I can't put the nonsense up with.
That just sounds wrong.
It's wrong. However, figure out is the outlier. It's separable.
Which means you can stick the object pronoun right in the middle.
Exactly. You can say, I can't figure it out, which is what native speakers do constantly. It's much, much less common to say, I can't figure out it. Mastering the separability of figure out is one of those micro details that just makes your speech instantly smoother.
That one detail is gold. Okay, to finish off this native fluency toolkit, let's inject those conversational idioms, the colorful phrases that pop up all the time.
So if you're tired, you're going to bed. Forget, go to sleep. You hit the sack. If you feel a bit sick, maybe you're coming down with something, you say you're feeling under the weather.
I love the utility of the next one. Cut somebody some slack.
Yeah, that's great for managing relationships. It just means don't be so critical. If your colleague is having a really rough week, you might tell your boss, hey, we need to cut him some slack.
And when you describe something really comprehensively, you gave them.
The whole 9 yards, meaning everything, all the way. When I prepare for a presentation, I research the history, the current trends, the whole 9 yards.
And finally, the idiom for confronting something you have to do.
Bite the bullet. You use this when you have to face an unpleasant situation and just get it done. I really don't want to call the supplier about that error, but I guess I just have to bite the bullet.
Okay, we've covered structure, timing, sequencing, high-impact vocabulary. Now let's tie it all together into the most practical, real-world scenario. Answering that common interview question, describe a typical workday. Because this isn't just about showing your fluency, it's a strategic move to show your competence.
This is communication strategy at its highest level. We've actually distilled this down to 6 crucial steps for a compelling, really confidence-building answer.
Step 1 feels mandatory. Structure. You have to go in chronological order, right? Morning to afternoon.
You have to. The interviewer is listening for how you approach work and organize your time, not just what you accomplish.
Okay, step 2. Overlap is key.
This is so important. Even if you're describing a job that seems totally different, you have to focus on the tasks that overlap with the new role. If the job requires Excel, mention how you figured out an automated reporting system using spreadsheets in your old role.
You're showing the transferable skill.
You're showing the transferable skill. Step 3 elevates your answer dramatically. Explain the why. Don't just list tasks, include your reasoning. For example, you could explain that you deliberately saved checking non-urgent emails for the afternoon.
Why?
Because mornings are reserved for high-priority creative tasks that require your best brain power. It shows you're intentional.
I like that. That shows real strategy. Okay, step 4 is strategic honesty.
Right. If your schedule is highly varied, you don't describe your quietest, easiest day. You describe the type of day that is most relevant to the role you're applying for.
So if it's an accounting job,
you focus on describing your reconciliation and payroll day, even if that only happens once a week. You choose the relevant narrative.
Step 5, be concise. Stay high level. They do not need the nitty-gritty details of how you make your bed.
No. If you spend too much time on mundane details, you risk sounding disorganized. Stick to the top 3 tasks for the morning, top 3 for the afternoon. That's it.
And the final strategy, number 6, is crucial for flow. End with an opening.
Yes. Always finish your overview by inviting follow-up questions. Something simple like, that covers the essentials of a typical day, but is there anything specific you'd like to hear more about?
That keeps it a conversation and stops you from just rambling.
Exactly.
So if you can master the structure, use those sequencing words, and deploy these advanced phrases, you can not only describe your day, but you can confidently present yourself as highly capable and fluent.
Absolutely. Our deep dive today really gave you the full formula, solidifying the present simple, mastering those temporal words, and deploying those essential phrasal verbs and idioms for truly natural, professional-sounding speech.
Fantastic. Now, for the final thought, something for you to mull over. The next time you're describing your day, maybe to a colleague, think about one essential idiom or phrasal verb we covered today, like bite the bullet or check up on, and strategically work it into the conversation. Just notice how that single vocabulary upgrade immediately shifts how professional and confident you sound.
Use the language we talked about today to tell a better story about your own life. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.